Got a got a lot of joints. All right. Well, this is Mr. Taper's Barber Life. Welcome to the show. And we have a very special guest today, good friend of mine, Mr. Lee Resnick of Barbershop Connect. How you doing, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on here, man.
Yeah, man. We go back a long way, and we're gonna get into that. But first, you're celebrating your Barbershop Connect's 20th anniversary.
Yeah, 20 years. It's crazy. Time flies by so quickly, but it's amazing to think of uh, where I started, when I started, and how it's evolved. So it's exciting. I remember that first phone call I got. I still have
Hmm.
the answering machine on my floor of a
Uh-huh.
barber threatening me, telling me that I am, involved in the wrong culture and I should get a different job. And that was
What?
20 years ago, you know?
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, for everybody who doesn't know, tell me, how did Barbershop Connect get started? Because you're not a barber. So tell us how it
No.
got started.
So how it got started was I come from the music business, and there was a rapper that I was working with that wasn't going to make it, and Sony Records at the time was dropping all different artists, so he was one of the products of elimination by the label, and
Mhm.
he decided he wanted to become a barber, and I helped him go to barbering school. He got a job in Jamaica, Queens. I went to his shop, and at that point in time, everybody was arguing about music videos on BET. And it was funny because BET played the same videos every day. And I was like, well, you guys
Right.
arguing about the same thing every day. And
Right.
so at that point, I came up with this idea to build this network of barbershops where I would supply a DVD that would go to barbershops and then get direct feedback that would go back to the record companies from what the people
Right.
say and have questionnaires. So a part of my network, at the time, I really didn't care whether you were a good barber or a bad barber. I was just more concerned with getting the information from the barbershop. So one of the barbers that I had in my
Right.
network was Eric Pacino's. I had Rick Morin, who was an educator from Wall out of Texas. They were all a part of my
Mhm.
network, which I figured out years later. So
Okay.
as I evolved through the record industry, becoming the barbershop guy, where all the record companies wanted to hire me to market their music through barbershops, it ultimately became products, where I launched an outreach program for Microsoft for Xbox 360 for like 6 years. And
Mhm.
So I was doing all sorts of things, getting hired by agencies to brand product through barbershops, and uh, and that was my business. So
Okay.
fast forward, I started Barbershop Connect uh, because I was doing a contest for an artist, and I didn't know whether there would be any sort of demand. And it was
Okay.
fascinating because you got to remember this was in the days of like MySpace. This was way before even
Right.
Facebook.
Right.
So there
Right.
was no platform. So my biggest thing with starting Barbershop Connect was creating a platform of equality, and I really believed that there were millions of barbers out there that had no outreach, and there was nothing
Right.
banding them together. So I quickly learned about culture, where
Hmm.
I learned first that the barbering community was very outspoken, and everybody wanted to have a voice. So I wanted
Hmm.
to provide people with this platform where they can have a voice and share their opinions. But
Hmm.
at the same time, something that like a haircut that would be trending in the United Kingdom would be looked
Hmm.
upon, from a U.S. barber as being wrong. And I always felt
Okay.
like, people can learn from each other, and styles, what may be happening in one area may be different than another. So if there was a way that I
Mhm.
could unify them all, and don't care whether you cut a celebrity, whether you have one client or a 200, if everybody had this equal face, then
Mhm.
everyone can learn from each other, and that's how the platform really grew. You know.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's obviously it blew up on IG. Let me see. I think, damn, I'm trying to remember when we first met. Uh, but I remember the DVDs and the music and damn. Well, around what year was that when we first met? About
I'm
two,
not good. I'm not good with years, and I'm not good with how I met people. I just know of when people are impacting. So, like Barbers Only
right.
magazine, the magazine itself, it was
Hmm.
interesting. There was another magazine, Against the Grain. Those were the two magazines I
Hmm.
knew at the time.
Right.
And again, this was before, like, this was at a different time where, you know, uh,
Right.
even myself, when I went to the airport, I would be buying magazines. You know what I mean? Like that
Right.
was my
Right.
thing on the plane. There was really no movies, and
Right.
and you know, like Barbers Only magazine, Barbershop Connect. What made them successful was it didn't have a face. Like people
Hmm.
knew the name, but the individuals behind it were not as important. This generation that we
Right.
live in now is totally different. Now they're more,
Hmm.
self-driven, whereas the label and everything comes along with them. So
Gotcha. Right.
I always modeled what I did around record companies. So like if I saw like the Def Jam logo, I knew the type of music I was getting if I purchased a vinyl from Def Jam. If I saw a
Right.
Wild Pitch logo, I knew what I was getting. And that's to
Mhm.
me, my importance of Barbershop Connect was it was never about me. It was always about the people that I was showing. When
Right.
I realized the impact of Barbers Only was when you guys did something that I would never have done. And I was hysterical laughing about it because I think
Oh
you
man.
you called it like the top 50 barbers or something. And I'll never
Right.
forget, it
Right.
must have come out when I was coming home from an event, and there were barbers
Okay.
in the airport arguing with each other on
Wow.
why they were on the list, where they were on the list, how come they weren't on the list. And it was incredible because
Wow.
we were coming back from a show and everybody was at a different gate, but yet they were all somehow bumping into each other. I'll never forget it. I was walking through the airport. I don't remember where we
Wow.
were, but I remember
Uh-huh.
some people were livid that they weren't on this list, and it was the first time I was like, wow. I was like, these people are so competitive. I'm like, all
Right.
right, it's a
Right.
list, and it was
Right.
great. Like, I mean, I'll give you a good laugh that has nothing to do with any of this. You know, uh,
Okay.
man, years ago, a barber called me and told me that I should do a Grammy Awards for
Hmm.
Barbershop Connect. Actually, it was Kenny Duncan who called me and told me I should
Okay.
do an award, a Grammy Awards. You should do one of these. I was like, there is no way I'm going to do that. And he was like, but
Okay.
you're the biggest platform. It would have such meaning. And I said, well, Barbers Only did a list. Forget an award show. I said, they did a list and people were
Right.
going crazy. I was like, I don't
Right.
really, want to be in the business of dealing with that. So I'll let,
Right.
somebody else do that. And then years later, Jay Majors called me and said, oh, I'm doing this thing, the Grammy Awards. I said, good luck. I
Right.
said,
Right.
you have no idea what you're in for. And it's so funny because every year that Jay does his Grammy Awards, he tells me
Hmm.
he's not doing it the next year. Every year. That's
Right.
the first
Right.
thing I say to him. So, how was everything? And he says, "Oh man, those Grammy Awards are exhausting." But
Right.
he's
Right.
turned it into something that's profitable for him, so it makes sense. But at the end of the
Right.
day, it's very hard to please everybody, and everybody no one wants to.
Yeah.
No one wants to say that they're not the best.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially as a
So,
barber.
but how we
Especially as a
met,
barber.
I have no idea. It must have been at Bronner Brothers, and
Hmm.
that would be where I would think, because I think that was probably that was my favorite show in
Right.
going to, and the thing that just I loved about Bronner Brothers, uh, I mean, I would say that was a 98% African American show. Maybe it was less,
Hmm.
because you had more, the hair or whatever from other countries there. But I
Hmm.
love the vibe of that show, and I'll
Hmm.
never forget. I was walking through that show, and I saw this Atlanta DJ Jelly, had a
Hmm.
booth, and I was like, I can't believe I'm
Hmm.
seeing DJ Jelly. Like, DJ Jelly was the guy who, in the music end, like, he was the guy that I would want to get in touch with, and here he is at a hair
Right.
show. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I thought that
Right.
that was interesting, and you know, I don't like saying those were the good old days, but I think that, like anything, those were the days when being original mattered. You know, uh,
Right. Right.
I think it was a time when everything was new. You know.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I remember for years, Barbershop Connect, you were like the invisible face. Like no one knew who was
Yes.
behind it, and I used
Yeah.
to laugh because people used to say, well, who is this guy? And I wouldn't say anything.
Well, I'll tell you. The unfortunate thing is with Instagram Live, it gave a
Hmm.
face because you had to go on there.
Right.
And I when I started it, Eric was a barber who, worked with me. Um,
Hmm.
and I used to not, it became, I'm trying to think of the wording to this. It became important to have Barbershop Connect a part of something. So,
Right.
what I learned, which was unfortunate, is I was, I mean, I've grown up a lot in the 20
Hmm.
years of doing this, and there came a point where I realized I couldn't please everybody, and
Right.
when I once I stopped doing, then I became a bad guy. I think that it's
Mm.
interesting. I'm not a barber. I never cut hair. And
Hmm.
you had a portion, and Eric was a barber and did cut hair in a neighborhood barbershop. So I guess you
Hmm.
could say that he was my credibility in doing this,
Hmm.
and I learned a lot from him on what to do and what not to do in certain things.
Hmm.
But I think that as you get bigger, sometimes you lose focus of what the original goal is, and
Mm.
you know, uh, and you know, I kind of was like, here I am being wanted as a guest in other countries, and I'm like, why am
Hmm.
I don't want to go there. I'm just like, what am I? I'm just the guy behind the scenes. I prefer to be that guy behind,
Right.
and it's tough because I see a lot of barbers today, you know, they are, they're misguided, or they're
Hmm.
living in the moment. You know, it's
Hmm.
interesting because a lot of people, once they become successful, decide that they're no longer a barber. Like,
Right.
oh, now I'm something else, and I'm always like,
Right.
well,
Right.
why? Like, if this stopped tomorrow, what would you be doing?
Hmm.
You'd probably end up going back to cutting hair. Or
Right.
they're still cutting
Right.
hair but not considering what they do being a barber. I don't
Right.
understand any of that. I think that it's interesting because when I started, there was no cool factor of being a barber. It was the
Right.
craft, and people did it, and
Hmm.
and that was
Hmm.
that. And then slowly it became really cool to be a barber, and then You had
Right.
hairdressers that were trying to figure out where do they fit in.
Right.
And you know, I think that then it became really cool. And then all the
Mhm.
major trade shows wanted barbers. They were trying to
Right.
figure out how to get them at their event. And, oh, I always used to hear this expression, which always made me laugh. Oh, we love the barbers. I always used to hear that. Like, oh,
Right.
we love the
Right.
barbers. I was like, what does
Right.
that mean? Like, oh, yeah, we love the
Right.
barbers. Like, and, yeah, I think that a lot has changed, even with social media. And I just stay doing what I'm doing. And I do a lot behind the scenes that nobody
Mhm.
knows. And I've continued to do that. I've helped so many people, which I know that gives me a lot of gratification. And,
Mhm.
and I'm happy with that. I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? After 20 years,
Right.
I think that. Uh, I also will acknowledge that after 20 years, when I announced the Barbershop Connect anniversary, my original feeling was that anyone that I impacted would come to my show. And
Mhm.
I was like, okay, this is like paying it forward. Like, here I am. I've done all this for 20 years.
Mm.
And after a month of doing it, I've came to the realization and conclusion that that's not the case. They'll still go to, some other thing that's either localized or something else. I think that everyone just kind of takes it as a grain of salt.
Well, you never know because the event is not here yet, but you were a major factor in the barber industry being quote unquote the cool. Um, you know, as a barber myself, I feel proud to tell someone, I'm a barber and I get a lot of respect. And Barbershop Connect has had a lot to do with that. I remember in the early 2000s, I went to a comedy show and the waitress takes my order and she says, "What do you do for a living?" And I say, "I'm a barber." And she goes, "I heard about you barbers." And I'm like, "What the hell you mean you heard about us barbers?" But now, I see kids, they want to go to barber school, even adults, they want to go to barber school. It's not just a cool factor. It's a viable trade where you can make money. And Barbershop Connect has definitely had a role in promoting that image.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad about that. I think that I've definitely helped impact stuff. I mean, I, that was my importance of it is
Mhm.
is really trying to elevate the business, have people understand their value, and I've always said, like, like you don't want to be a widget. You know what I mean? Like, with,
Right.
the companies, they look at numbers and not individuals. I once had this
Mhm.
conversation with Patty Cutts years ago. He called me and he was like, "Yeah, this brand is offering me an endorsement deal. Like, what do you think I should do?" And I looked at him. I said, "Why you?" And he was like, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I don't want to offend you, but I'm going to be as candid as possible. You don't even
Mhm.
use product in your haircuts. So why would they
Mhm.
want to endorse you?" And he was
Mhm.
like, "I don't know." I said, "Because you have numbers." I said, "So they're not
Mhm.
really looking at you as a person. They're looking at you as a quantifiable number." I said,
Right.
"And if you're not doing it, they'll find somebody else that has the same number." I said, "So what I want
Mhm.
you to do is I want you to go back to that company and ask them the same question I asked you. Say, why do
Mhm.
you want to endorse me? And see what their answer is." And he
Mhm.
called me back and told me, I can't believe it, man. They didn't have an answer, you know? And
Wow.
I said, yeah, because I knew I was right. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I
Right.
mean, I've
Right.
seen so much. I get a lot of humor. You have to learn how to laugh. If you can't, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, you could kind of, you know, uh, you could kind of lose your mind. You know what I mean? But Uh,
Right.
I don't know. I think that people don't really
Oh,
that closely.
oh,
Yeah, sorry, I just got a call.
oh, it's
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think people look into stuff that closely. So, you know, yeah.
Okay. Well, with your 20th anniversary coming up, I know you've had a lot of memorable moments. What are like maybe your top three memorable moments? And before you answer that, let me say one of mine with Barbershop Connect. One was, I'll never forget, 2011. I met Eric and he gave me a card and it said, "Hey, this Barbershop Connect website is coming soon." And I actually have a picture of Eric doing that. And also, I'll never forget, you told me years ago, you were like, "Hey, man, I'm getting ready to start this website. I'm gonna let you know when I get it going." And to see it from then to now, it's like crazy how much it has grown. And the last big moment to me was 2016, the first BarberCon. I was at the first BarberCon, and that was an amazing event. There was so many barbers there. I'll never forget. Fat Joe was there, and he introduced his song All the Way Up. He was like, "Hey, I got this new
Yeah.
song. Let me know
Yeah.
if you can feel it." I mean, that was like a legendary moment. But what are some of your most memorable, top three memorable moments of BarberCon / Barbershop Connect?
Okay. Uh wow. That that's a 20-year question of asking me something.
Yeah.
Um okay. My moments um let's see. That's that is so hard.
Well,
Okay.
I know 2016 had to be in there.
Okay, so I'll give my first one was when I created Cedric's Barber Battle, the TV show. Okay,
Right,
I'll
right,
make that
right.
as I can't list that as one of three, but I'll list it as number four as an extension
Okay,
because it didn't really have to do with either of those. But I think that
okay.
uh, people don't understand how much went into creating a TV show. And I
Right,
think at that time there were a lot of people, to remain nameless, that said that they had a TV show. They didn't really know what went behind that. And
right.
I ended up getting that show greenlighted to the CW in the final week
Hmm.
of it happening. So that was
Wow.
like a major accomplishment for me because that was the first time I ever did a TV show. And here I am with a 10 episode show with Cedric the Entertainer as my partner.
Okay.
And I almost drove my car through the diner window when I got the phone call that it was being moved ahead. So that was a big
Wow.
accomplishment.
Okay.
Accomplishment two, uh, man, would be um, I think that during the pandemic, uh, after coming out of the pandemic, I did an
Hmm.
infomercial that was to encourage people to go back to the barbershop. And I had thousands of barbers sharing this infomercial that Joe from City Images and I made
Hmm.
just for the community to be able to use with no face to it, no nothing. And
Hmm.
and I had thousands of barbers posting it on their page to encourage their clients to come back to the
Wow.
shop. Now, the
Right, right.
interesting thing is, I hired a publicist for 2 months because I really
Hmm.
wanted mainstream America to understand what it is that I was doing for the
Hmm.
community and how important it was
Right,
for them to embrace small businesses again. And I
right.
spent $6,000 on a publicist and got not one article. Okay,
Mm.
not one.
Wow.
And
Wow.
all they cared about was the guy who created Barbershop Connect. And I
Mm.
told the publicist, I didn't pay you to promote me. I'm trying
Right.
to get people to understand that these small businesses are suffering, and through this infomercial, people are going to come back. And
Right.
it was such a fight, and it didn't work out. But the
Hmm.
accomplishment for me was having all these barbers use an infomercial that had nothing to really do with them personally or their shop. It just was encouraging
Right.
people to come back. So that would be number
Okay.
two. And then
Okay.
number three was man, if it had to do with BarberCon, I would say probably when I sold out Terminal 5 and there were 3,000 people online, 3 blocks long that couldn't get in. And I was one
Wow.
person running a 3-floor show, and I didn't even shower, okay? Because the tables showed up at 5:30 in the morning. I was staying at a
Hmm.
hotel down the block. I ran to the venue and realized that I had no production come out, nothing. I was
Hmm.
carrying tables up floors and setting up tables and chairs till 8 o'clock in the
Wow.
morning. And I ran back to my hotel. I threw on a suit. And it was funny because I brought a suit with me because at the time, Eric Pacino was the only barber that was wearing a suit. And I felt
Right.
like if I wore a suit and stood on stage, it would encourage people to think bigger.
Hmm.
Okay. And meanwhile, I didn't even shower. When I tell you I smelled like shit and I was sweating like I didn't even care. You know what I mean? So I laugh
Right.
now, when I see I see these shows and people are dressed like, like I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Right. Right. Okay.
So that is yeah, that was definitely an accomplishment for me. And then I ended up realizing that I needed help. You know, uh,
Okay. Okay.
the sacrifice is important, and
Right.
bandwidth is important. I knew that this has now become bigger than me. You know,
Got you.
so
Got you.
yeah, yep.
Oh,
You know,
okay. Well, we got the big event. Tell us about the big event, BarberCon,
20th
and where we can.
anniversary. All right, so this year, instead of doing 5 to 6 shows like I normally do, I'm doing the Barbershop
Hmm.
Connect anniversary in Dallas, Texas. And the reason why I didn't do New York is because it's so hard with the size. So I did.
Hmm.
I chose Dallas, Texas because we had such a great event there, and it will be 3 rooms. It'll be the best of the best around the world in one room. And
Hmm.
I think that it's 20 years in the making. We have an exclusive after party sponsored by Andis that is 250 people maximum.
Hmm.
And I think that it's just going to be all the people that you probably haven't seen in so long in one room. I do know a lot of
Right.
those people are coming out, which is great. And there's the
Hmm.
barber battle, and yeah, it's just a bunch of reputable brands and the best educators in one room. So that's what that is.
Wow.
And then I have October 21st through the 23rd in Palm Springs, California. I have the BarberCon
Hmm.
retreat, which is
Wow.
a educational retreat for people that are looking for more. Uh, that is uh,
Okay.
that is what it is. It's super exciting. It is interactive. It has
Hmm.
a dinner. It's got networking events, everything you can learn,
Hmm.
and it's a
Hmm.
small audience. It'll be a maximum of
Okay.
300 people. So
Okay.
that's
It's a it's a that's a wellness retreat, right?
correct. It's a health, wellness, and education retreat. 98% of the
Okay.
people that we did a survey of 120 barbers. 98% of them struggle with managing their time and their business. They have
Hmm.
trouble maximizing their revenue from behind the chair. and all we're doing is compiling some incredible speakers to help them be better. That's what it is.
Okay.
Both tickets are
Wow.
available at barbercon.com if anyone needs tickets.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, that's great. And hopefully I could be a photographer for these events. I'd love to, but
That would be
you
amazing.
know, yeah, but either way, I'm gonna try my best to be both of them. Hey, Lee, man, thank you for everything, bro. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you and Barbershop Connect on for many, many years. But shout out to Barbershop Connect and BarberCon, man, for your contribution to the barber industry.
Hey, well, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for doing Barbers Only magazine. That continued to inspire everybody, and I I know that you're a DJ. I don't know whether you're a good
Yes, sir.
DJ yet. I'm still evaluating that, but
Hey,
I know
I see some mixtapes. I'm actually blowing up right now. I'm actually
okay.
really blowing up.
But again, I really respect you and love you for being a leader within the business. And I know that even
Appreciate
for
it.
me, I've taken bits and pieces from everyone and try to apply it the best way I can to further the craft. So thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
All right, bro. I appreciate you. Take
All
care.
right, be good. All right.
All right. All right. That was Mr. Lee Resnick, Barbershop Connect and BarberCon. Great guy, great guy. Once again, the Barbershop Connect 20th anniversary, Dallas, Texas. You can find all the information on Barbershop Connect's IG. And BarberCon is doing their wellness retreat. You can also find information there on BarberCon, C-O-N, BarberCon's IG. And yeah, this has been a great show. Shout out to everybody who's been following us and checking us out. Thank you. And we are out.